I want to thank you again all for having me here and for Reverend Kathy to entrust me with this space this morning. And holding this energy where she speaks and so many other amazing beings have the honor of connecting with you in this way on Sunday mornings. And I've been here a few times over the years as my journey has unfolded, as the journey of the world has unfolded. I've been here a few times and I've spoken on several different topics, whatever happened to be most present, most on my heart at the moment. And honestly, coming here today, when Reverend Kathy asked me to speak here today, there was this welling up of energy, of gratitude for this opportunity, and this feeling of this is the most important time yet. We are really sitting right now in this moment at a pivotal point in the history of humanity, in the history of our world. There are unprecedented events that are taking place right now, and each and every one of us is alive and breathing on this planet as embodied beings to be a part of it. Each one of us has a sacred role to play, and there is a felt sense. The air is pulsating with the felt sense of revolution. Revolution is in the air. This is a sea change moment for all of us. And even more exciting than revolution being in the air, revival is afoot. Revival is afoot. I was watching the news for weeks on end and seeing all of the protests and seeing all of the riots and seeing the collective of humanity taking to the streets under an umbrella, under a cause. And the cause seemed to take several different faces. There were causes that seemed to be popping up everywhere, and everyone kind of seemed to be siding in one direction or another. And then just a couple weeks ago, I turned on the news and I saw that revival was happening. The news itself was covering stories of a pastor. His name is Sean Feucht, F-E-U-C-H-T, who is organizing and holding revivals on the beaches of LA. In Portland, Oregon, where riots had been going for 53 nights, unending nights. And all of a sudden, people were taking to those very same streets in praise and in worship, and coming together in the light, and coming together in the living spirit, coming together with their hands raised to the sky, coming together in prayer, just like Chris Lee's song invited all of us to pray. It's like the most important thing we can do right now is to come together in prayer for our earth, for our fellow man, for the systems that are rattling and shaking right now. And I saw that it was happening. I saw that it was happening to the tune of like 7,000 people at a time were gathering in this spirit of revival. And I thought, no way is this happening. This is amazing. And then it all dropped in like it made perfect sense. Of course this is happening because there's been a space that is open for it. The time is right. The time is now. We are ready for this. There's been so much that is crumbling and dismantling from every space, right? And all of the emotions are high. All of the energies are high. They're skyrocketing in so many different directions. And so of course, in that moment is an opportunity for the energy to be matched with an energy of love. For the energy to be matched with the intention to come together in a higher space and to walk our talk and to embody the spiritual revival which we've been talking about for so long. To now actually become a part of that process. There's an opening, there's an invitation, there's an opportunity for that to happen. And I saw the magnificence of it. I thought, as long as we're all kind of hanging out in the status quo, as long as life is just going along as normal, as long as that's the existence that we're all sharing together, then all of the messages tend to be, mediocre. All of the energy just kind of seems to pull together in this kind of like mediocre, status quo place. But all of a sudden, when we're in a place of polarity where the energies start going like this, and they start going like this, that is when there's suddenly an opportunity for the energy to come in and to really take a stand and to be noticed. And I'm calling that energy revival. And I do want to make a note that there's a big difference between spiritual revival and religious revival. I'm not talking about religious revival that has an agenda and that one way is better than another way and that could essentially inadvertently result in more separation than unity. I'm talking about real, true, heart-centered, spirit-centered revival that is about coming together under values and priorities that are going to benefit every single one of us as we all tune our hearts to that intention. So I could not be more happy to be here today as a part of this movement. I heard that each one of us has a part to play here, and that some of us are meant to talk and speak about what's happening. Some of us are meant to be activists against the atrocities that are happening in our world. Some of us are meant to be teachers about unity consciousness. Some of us are meant to step into self-healing. Some of us are meant to step into the healing of our family systems and to be a model of how to shift the patterns there. And when I was hearing this call that every one of us have a role, I thought, I don't know if that's me. I do know that I'm a speaker, but I don't know that I'm meant to speak in this arena. This isn't the time that I was seeing all the protests and all the riots, and I wasn't called to one side or another. But as soon as I saw the movement of revival taking place, I knew I was called right into that space. I knew that is where my heart aligns. I knew that every cell in my body could get behind that movement. And I want to share a couple of quotes with you as each one of you consider what is your sacred role to play right now. What is the sacred part of this movement of revival that is yours to embody, that is yours to walk out with the boots on the ground? What is your personal expression of that? So this is a quote by Arundhati Roy. And some of you may have heard this already. I know I saw it kind of floating around on social media. But I thought it was so poignant, and I wanted to share it this morning because it seems like it's a piece to the puzzle. Historically, pandemics have forced humans to break with the past and imagine their world anew. This one is no different. It is a portal, a gateway between one world and the next. We can choose to walk through it, dragging the carcasses of our prejudice and hatred, our databanks and dead ideas, our dead rivers and smoky skies behind us, or we can walk through lightly with little luggage, ready to imagine another world and ready to fight for it. To fight for this new world that we are all imagining together, this new world that we have been waiting for, that we are now being ushered into or offered the opportunity to usher into. Now, this essence of ready to fight for it, I'm not talking about fighting in a violent way. I'm going to talk about the importance of aligning with nonviolence in a moment. But to fight for it means really aligning every bit of your energy, every cell in your body, and taking a stand on what matters to you. Taking a stand on this new world that you envision and not compromising your vision of it. Not compromising your vision of what is possible. Not being wishy-washy about it, but taking a stand. So the mystery of what's occurring was kind of increasing. I came across this quote about pandemics and the pivotal opportunity this is for all of us. And then the next piece that dropped into place was a quote by Charles Eisenstein. And this again is something that some of you may have already been familiar with. It's kind of been circulating out there, but it feels important when we put these two pieces together. Charles says, we are being initiated, but initiated into what? The popular name for the pandemic offers a clue. Coronavirus. A corona is a crown. Novel coronavirus pandemic literally translates to mean a new crown for all. Can you believe that? You can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. Isn't that amazing? So I invite each of you to consider, what is the new crown that you are being given? What is the new crown that you are wearing? What is this new kingdom that we are collectively building together? So early on in the pandemic, I read an article that really left such an imprint on me. It became a part of my own personal revolution. Because at the end of the day, isn't that what it's about? As much as I can stand up here and talk about revolution and revival, there's still this lingering, what does that really mean? What does that really mean? What is it that we can do? So anytime that there's something that's very big and elusive and kind of nebulous, the best thing we can do is to anchor the macrocosm into the microcosm, right? We can bring all of this that is represented up here and just bring it laser personal. And to ask, what are the shifts that need to occur or can occur that I am empowered to be a part of changing within my own personal world? Where can my own personal world come into greater integrity, come into greater alignment? Where can my own personal world become even more reflective of a microcosm of what I want to see reflected in the macrocosm? And this article that I read gave some pretty specific ideas and instructions, and it made a really good point that one of the greatest powers that we have, one of the most valuable assets in our lives is our time. Is our time. And for each one of us to not underestimate how much power we each individually hold within the collective, because it's easy to feel lost within the system. It's easy to feel hopeless on days like the system is way bigger than little old me, and how can I actually really make a difference? But let me tell you, you have more power than maybe you would ever suspect, and it can be expressed through our time and through our money. Let me explain how that would work, because every single moment that we are making a choice about how to spend our time or how to spend our money, we essentially are placing a vote. It is an expression of our voice about what kind of world we want to create. When we're spending time on the internet, be mindful. Where are you spending your clicks? Because it becomes part of the whole. When you're at the store or on Amazon, what types of purchases are you making? What are they reflective of? What are you saying with your voice, with your vote, with your dollars? What are you saying with the vote of your time about what kind of world we want to live in? When I heard this, I instantly dropped into a space of really reassessing this idea of my power and my voice and the influence that I have in our world at large as a consumer of time and a consumer of goods. And what was I really speaking? What was I really saying with these choices that I was making about the kind of world that I want to live in? And one of the things that I decided to do was to put some of my money into the expression of this idea of spiritual revival. And I started scouring Amazon for the best versions, the most highly recommended renditions of sacred texts across all different belief systems. And I started to choose mindfully every single day to take a whole chunk of my day to spend diving in to this material of the sacred texts. And I knew that in doing so, I was making a choice to more mindfully align all of my choices, my time, my money, my energy, with what I value and how I would like to see this world operating. And I could feel that I was making a difference. I could feel that my clicks were making a difference. I could feel that my dollars were making a difference in a much bigger way than even at the voting booths in November, because this is a daily, many moments a day way that we are expressing ourselves and expressing what's important to us. And one of the books that I didn't order from Amazon, but I actually pulled off of my bookshelf, is this book by Dr. Wayne Dyer, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao. So this is Dr. Wayne Dyer's interpretation of the Tao Te Ching, but he actually includes each one of the verses of the Tao Te Ching and then kind of writes a little commentary on it. So this is one of the sacred texts that I've been engaging every day. And this book is so special to me. It's even signed by Dr. Dyer. When I spoke with him at a Hay House conference, and I had the opportunity to ask him to sign one of the many books of his that I own, this is the one that was the most important and the most special to me. And I'd like to just read to you some of the 39th verse in the Tao. It says, "These things from ancient times arise from one. The sky is whole and clear. The earth is whole and firm. The spirit is whole and full. The 10,000 things are whole, and the country is upright. And these are in the virtue of wholeness. Playing one's part in accordance with the universe is true humility." And y'all, I gotta say, I loved this so much when I encountered this. I felt myself ignited and come alive, because I had heard some time ago that the true definition of humility is taking one's rightful place in the universe. So sometimes we get concerned with the essence of humility and the virtue of humility as being an expression of thinking less of oneself. And it's actually not thinking less of oneself, it's actually thinking more of oneself. It's thinking rightfully about oneself. It's about taking one's rightful place in the universe. And how can we do that and stay humble? We can do that and stay humble when we remember that we are part of the whole. That we are part of the whole. That our role, that this part that we're playing, is no more and no less important than the role and the part that anyone else is playing, because we're all part of the whole. It's just like parts of the body. Not one cell of the body is more important than another cell of the body. But it's very important for every single cell to do exactly what it is that they came to do. That they are here on purpose to do. And so that message is for each and every one of us to stand up. Now is the time to take our rightful place in the universe. Now is the time to be rooted in deep humility and be who we came to be and fully embody that. It goes on to say, these are Dr. Dyer's words, wholeness and humility are one in the same. Play your part in accordance with the whole. Wholeness means maintaining a sense of balance with the all-providing, gentle, non-pushy Tao. In humility, you're able to feel your own tiny role in this great drama orchestrated by your source. As you live in wholeness, notice how you begin to feel a connection to all of life rather than the separateness that your ego prefers. So stepping into humility is not about stepping into a rightful place that would separate you from others, but rather stepping into a place that unites you as a part of the whole. And then the second verse that recently really spoke to me in the Tao is in the 42nd verse. And this is where Dr. Dyer says, you must be willing to give up your attachment to all forms of violence in your life if you want to melt into harmony. So when we're thinking about the codes by which to live, we can kind of check and get a pulse about if we're on track about taking our rightful place, and if we're on track with using our time and energy in a direction that's going to help create this new world that we envision. We can kind of check that against these codes of violence. Does this align with violence, or is this an expression of nonviolence? Is this choice that I'm making, is this representative of harmony, or is this representative of separateness? And I'd like to close today with a song that's titled Revolutionary by Josh Wilson. And one of the reasons I chose this song is specifically for the chorus, because if you listen, the chorus says, "Why does kindness seem revolutionary? When did we let hate get so ordinary? God help us get revolutionary." So I'd like for you to listen to the words of this song, and then we'll wrap up.
Maybe you're not like me, maybe we don't agree, maybe that doesn't mean we gotta be enemies. Maybe we just get brave, take a big leap of faith, call it truth, so me and you can find a better way. Let's take some.
Thank you. That's my theme song during this time. And I just invite all of you to consider a couple of questions. This is what I'm going to leave you with. A quote from Margaret Mead. "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. So remember your power as a group of thoughtful, committed citizens. And consider these questions. To create the new world you envision, how much risk are you willing to take? How have you personally contributed to the state your life is in? And how have you contributed to the state the world is in? How can and will you contribute to creating the new world you envision? What is your role? What is your rightful place in this play out of the revolution, of the revival that is happening? What revolutionary act will you choose to take in your own life? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tara.